us sit and wait for a life to love. I'm waiting to fall in love with life. My daughter's 6. She wants to be 13. My daughter's 13. She wants to be 20. When she turns 20, she's gonna realize bills are gonna make you wanna be 13. I wake up every day and I'm like, Lord, I was rushing to have bills every month. They come every month. You, again, here with me. I think part of the reason why we find it so difficult to love our lives is that we're just waiting for the hard part to be over. It's like if I can finally get these kids to think straight, if I can finally get the money to go from paycheck to actually being able to save, maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to love my life. I'm single, maybe when I get married, I'll love my life. I'm married, maybe when he goes to work, I can love my life for 8 hours. We're looking and waiting for these moments when we will finally love our lives. And so when I was studying about this message and I was asking God, how do we come to a place where we begin to love our lives? God began to show me that it's not so much about us learning to love our lives as much as it is having the mindset, much like we have to have a mindset for things like Orange Theory, that it's not about what's going to happen. It's trusting that whatever happens, it's meant to make me better. That means that even though I may not want to face it, even though it may hurt me in the process, my trust is not in life, my trust is in God. And if God allows for something to show up in my life, it must be here to be a teacher to me. It must be here to refine me. It must be meaning to teach me something. I think Paul would say something like this: for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. There are women in this room who are not just in this room because life went the way that they wanted it to. There are women in this room who became who they are because the suffering taught them something. The suffering taught me to have boundaries. The suffering taught me to be humble. The suffering taught me that if I don't speak up, I'll be ran over. I didn't learn to do this because it was easy. I learned some things because the suffering taught me. The suffering taught me, be careful who you talk about. The suffering taught me, be careful who you let in your life. The suffering taught me that I have an inclination to allow things that are in me to mess up the destiny that God has for me. I didn't just learn this because someone said it. The suffering came and it taught me something. Are there some women in this room who have been taught by suffering? Some people went to school. Other people learned from the suffering. My heart had to break, but I learned a lesson. I got a little sore, but I learned a lesson. The suffering taught me more than the blessings did. We don't like to talk about those things, but there are some lessons that only suffering can teach you. I take better care of the people who are in my life because the grief taught me they're not here forever. I take better care of myself because the heartbreak told me I'll pour and pour and pour until I'm in the hospital. The suffering taught me that there are words that are more powerful than any physical abuse you can ever experience. So I'm careful with my mouth now because someone made me suffer from the words that were on the other side. You want to break a generational curse? It's going to happen because some suffering took place and you decided this suffering cannot pass on to another generation. This suffering cannot live on in my community. I got to break something so the suffering, God, I'm glad that I suffered so that now no one else has to suffer again. See, you got to be a bold girl to say some things like that, but there comes a point where you decide that these scars can work against me or they can work for me. And I have decided that my scars are seed. I'm going to put them in the ground. I'm going to allow the word of God to water them, and I'm going to allow my children to eat from the fruit of the scars that should have took me out of here. Baby, the scars taught me. It wasn't the degree. It wasn't the relationships. I'm not anointed because of who my father is. I'm not anointed because of what I went through. I'm anointed because the suffering made a demand on what God placed on the inside of me. I don't know who you are, but you're going through a suffering season. And I just want you to know from a few of us that there is power on the other side of suffering, that there is breakthrough on the other side of suffering, that there's vision on the other other side of suffering. I know your heart is broken, baby girl, but let someone's life be a testimony. Suffering is not the end. If you let it, suffering will be the beginning. Suffering can be the beginning. This pain in your chest, this disappointment, this fear, this anxiety, this suffering, it's not the end of you. It is the beginning. And you're going to learn to love your life, not because everything went well, but because God turned it for good. So I love the one who orchestrated my life. I love the one who planned it. I love the one who understood what was going to happen. So when I'm standing in the moment, I have to love the God who allowed the life. Because sometimes, if we're honest, it's hard to love your life. It's difficult to live in such a way that you experience setback and disappointment and no after no after no. And everyone on the outside